Well, that kind of brings up the point on your website. You sign up for our analysis education workshop. So you guys actually put on workshops for what purpose? Like to just for somebody like me to be able to look at the paperwork you're giving me and know what I'm talking about, or what?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we want people to use the results because we have really fast turnaround time, 48 hours for unless you give us a sample on a Friday. But it doesn't matter the speed if you're not able to read it. And I can't I can't get 100 calls a day. And so I initiated education when I came to New Age so that we can talk to a lot of people at once. And we encourage everybody to bring their data. And it's a 2-hour education. And then we give it to you as a recording. It's open Q&A with myself, but also with the owner of the lab. And not very many people get to talk directly with him anymore. He's so busy, but he is there and he's answering. We try to get to everyone's questions. So we've been refining and refining. We only offer in the winter because that's about all the time that we have. We try to narrow it down to crop groups. And yeah, that's something that we provide.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And you were the one that initiated that too, correct, Jenny?
Well, yes, because I saw the need that everybody couldn't interpret their own results, and that just talking to individual people, I was answering the same question over and over. So I was like, well, why don't we answer this question for everybody? Mm-hmm. What's a nutrient? What's new? What is tissue versus SAP? How to look at over the season? How to make decisions based on SAP? Things, looking at actual data from drought versus flood, looking at 400 data points to create your own database and perennials, things like that.
So do you see that your lab will ever go in the direction like some of the other ones that do soil and SAP side by side?
We do soil and SAP side by side.
Okay, so I wasn't sure. So that was the report I got from Chris.
We do something called a rapid soil, which is really, it was brought over by Australia. Australia has been using SAP actually a long time. And if you want to talk about growers that understand drought, they're amazing at it. They don't have drought and undrought year. They just have drought. They're just drought. And they are huge in the grape market, and they can grow on very, very small amounts of moisture. We're like, I don't know why we all just don't go over there and learn, because they've been growing without water for a very long time. And so we brought a test over from there. It's called rapid soil. It's like saturated paste, but it's looking at the soil and the water directly into the root zone. We want people to take it. We want the irrigation water. We want the soil in the root zone. I don't want it anywhere outside the root zone at all. And people always ask me, what's the average depth? I was like, well, you need to take a shovel and see where your roots are. I'm assuming it's 6 or 8 or 10 inches, but I don't know that. I've been to multiple places where, gosh, there's only 3 feet or 3 inches, and then you've got your roots here, or we can't find any roots. Where are the roots? Keep digging. So it's really important to understand that when the nutrients are taken up into the roots, it's mainly your water. It's not a 1-to-1 ratio of saturated paste. A saturated paste is literally a paste. And that paste is not going into the roots. It's a paste. It's like sandy butter. Like, that's not what's going into the roots. The roots is the nutrients passing through the soil in a soil solution going into the roots. And that's what we do. And many times people use that in the fall with an old leaf, because there are no new leaves, or most of the time in the springtime, they take a whole plant of an annual and then they do a rapid soil, or they do a new leaf of a perennial and a rapid soil, so they can have a direct comparison, because there is no old leaf, doesn't exist. So they don't do it all year round. It's just to help bridge some gaps where a new leaf is non-existent or an old leaf is non-existent. And that irrigation water, I've seen rapid soil with irrigation water, and I've seen rapid soil with DI or lab water. Very different. Oh my goodness, night and day. So I strongly suggest, if you're going to look at a comparison, really want to see how great or how poor your irrigation water is mixed with your soil. It's a great comparison. Just do it once. You don't have to do it all the time, but it's a good learning to really understand when you irrigate, this is what your roots are seeing.
Being that water is the transportation.
The water is the transportation.
So are the results with DI water better or worse?
Well, they're much better. Night and day.
Interesting, because you ionized everything out of the water.
And there's no sodium and there's no chloride. And especially for your younger annuals, and you're trying to get a whole bunch of phosphorus in there, and you're irrigating with highly chlorinated water, that is the anion that's going to get in faster, easier, better. And so your anion balance, especially for young annuals, can be 92% chloride. And
maybe we better be specific. What is DI water?
Deionized water. It's everything is taken out of it. So it's dead water, basically.
It's kind of like RO, but worse. Like they say, whatever you do, don't drink it because it'll just strip your body. Whereas with RO, you can drink it. Is it depleting some of your minerals? Yeah, it is. But you're getting those minerals hopefully back in your food. Whereas DI, man, forget it. It's like drinking an acid.
Yeah, I'd never heard of it before.